Philadelphia Eagles training camp is finally here, and they've wasted no time putting the NFL on notice. And one younger player in particular is really turning heads, as Jordan Mailata just made an extremely bold claim about Jalyx Hunt that should have Eagles fans fired up and the rest of the NFL terrified. Meanwhile, DeJean seems to have taken on a somewhat unexpected new role, while we also got a surprising update on first-round rookie Jihaad Campbell, and Jordan Davis seems to have gone through a pretty insane transformation. Plus, we also got some updates on the Eagles camp battles and so much more news to go over from the first practice of training camp, so let's not waste any time and we'll get straight into it. Alright, so the Eagles wasted no time making headlines to kick off training camp, as before the defending champs even got a chance to get out on the practice field, Howie Roseman decided to add a veteran to the defensive line, as on Tuesday, the Birds signed former Browns, Texans, and Rams defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo in what I think is a pretty interesting and underrated move. And I had actually speculated back a couple weeks ago that the Eagles could sign Okoronkwo after he was initially released from the Browns, so to see it happen now was really no surprise to me, and I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, it certainly can't hurt to add a veteran presence on the defensive line and in an edge rusher room that is just so young, and also one that, sure, has never put up big numbers by any means, but still has been able to make solid contributions as a depth piece throughout his career, and especially over these past 3 seasons, as last year he put up 3 sacks and 23 tackles with the Browns, the year prior he put up 4.5 sacks and 31 tackles, and the year before that in 2022, he put up career bests of 5 sacks and 44 tackles with the Texans. So now, the 30-year-old Okoronkwo comes to the Eagles with the chance to fight for a roster spot and add depth and again, a very young and inexperienced edge rusher room. Now, is this a home run signing? No, but again, Okoronkwo does have the potential to be a very good depth addition, and there's also no risk with this move. Like, worst case scenario, he doesn't make the roster, and that's that. I mean, it's not like the Eagles really lose anything in that scenario. So again, I think that this is another very good, low-risk, high-reward signing for the Eagles this offseason, and a great way for them to kick off training camp. But that wasn't the only thing that happened for the Birds when they first reported to camp on Tuesday, as the guys were also put through the yearly media day in preparation for the new season, and we got quite a bit of exciting content coming out of that, with cool behind-the-scenes looks of Jalen Hurts, who's somehow already going into his 6th season, which is just insane. And then there's also Saquon Barkley here in this video. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean, and their rookie Jalyx Campbell all looking good in the midnight green. But by far the most exciting behind-the-scenes clip we got for Media Day is the one showcasing defensive tackle Jordan Davis. As back in the spring, it was said by Vic Fangio that Davis was coming into this season in the best shape of his life, and now, looking at this video, it's pretty safe to say that that's the truth. I mean, just look at how slimmed down this guy is. Like, he just looks amazing. And then when we got to practice on Wednesday, my feelings on that only got stronger. As once again, you can see here in this video that Davis seems to have cut down significant weight this offseason, so personally, I'm just so fired up to see what JD does this season. Obviously last year, like I've said all offseason, I think he was really good in his role, but this year, from Davis's weight loss to the fact that he showed clear improvement as a pass rusher towards the end of last season, it really does seem like everything is lining up for Davis to have his best season yet in 2025. But staying on the topic of defensive tackles, we got some other news there as well, as the Eagles signed both defensive tackles Jacob Sykes and also the UFL's Joe Evans. Now, I don't think these are significant moves, and they'll likely just end up being camp bodies, but still, noteworthy they made those moves there. And something else that's much more noteworthy is that Jalen Carter missed the first practice of Eagles training camp while dealing with a shoulder injury. Now, I don't think this is any reason to panic. I'm sure he's fine, but still, definitely some significant news that he wasn't out there for practice number 1. And on that note, guard Kenyon Green also is not out there, as he's currently dealing with a knee issue. As is, of course, Nakobe Dean, who Howie Roseman confirmed before practice isn't going to be out there for probably quite a while.
Morning. We'll start off with, we have one player with a designation. Nakobe Dean will start camp on PUP. He's doing a great job with his rehab. Can't wait to get him back. Other than that, everyone else will be on the fields.
Full attendance, though?
One more time?
Full attendance?
Full attendance.
Yes, so you heard him there. Nakobe Dean will in fact begin training camp on the PUP list, which I don't think is really any sort of surprise, just considering the severity of his injury and the typical timeline for return there. What was surprising, though, is the comments that Howie and then Nick Sirianni made a bit later regarding first-round rookie linebacker Jihaad Campbell.
Jihaad Campbell then.
Everyone else will be on the field.
Elaborate Yeah, you're going to see him out there today, like Howie said, and it would be fun to get him out there and start working with him. He looked like he had a great summer, and excited to have him out there working.
Jihaad Campbell being able to participate in the first practice of camp was definitely some unexpected news, especially since just a couple months ago, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio said Campbell probably wouldn't be back until mid-August, so to hear that he would be practicing on day one was, again, no doubt a very pleasant surprise, and then actually seeing him out there was even better, because not only did he look fast and physical going through a lot of these drills, but reports also said that even though he was limited, he was already going through team drills with the second team and getting live reps in 11-on-11s. And by the time practice was over, reporter Brandon Lee Gouton said that Campbell seemed to be a full go in his first practice, albeit without pads. So, based on everything we heard from practice number one, it seems like Jihaad Campbell is way ahead of schedule in his recovery, and if everything goes well for him during training camp, I think there's a very real chance that he could be your starter at linebacker in week one. Now, obviously, he's going to have some competition there, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who I talked about potentially starting in my last video, and right now, he is the one taking the first team reps at linebacker, so, we'll see how that competition goes, but again, I think if everything goes according to plan, then I think Jihaad Campbell is going to be your starter, and he very well could be a difference maker for this Eagles defense. Speaking of training camp competitions, though, we also got some pretty big updates on the Eagles' other positional battles that are going on. First, at the right guard spot, where Tyler Steen still has a firm hold on that starting job. I think at this point, it is very much his spot to lose. Then you have cornerback, where Kelee Ringo got pretty much all the first team reps on the outside, which in my opinion only reinforces that he is the early clear favorite there at that spot. Now that said, he did have a couple bad moments on day one. As E.J. Smith reported, quote, Kelee Ringo has gotten all of the first team snaps today at outside corner, but has gotten beaten twice deep. First by Terrace Marshall during 7-on-7s, and just now again by A.J. Brown on a back shoulder jump ball 20 yards downfield. Now personally, I'm not too worried about this at all. I mean, I've seen a couple people overreact here and there, but we gotta remember that one, this is just the first practice at training camp. We got a long way to go before we're anything close to a finished product. Two, there was always going to be growing pains with Ringo. I mean, I don't think there was any question with that. And three, every corner gets beat from time to time. So again, there's just absolutely no reason to worry about Ringo in my mind. And again, right now, he seems to be the clear favorite to start at cornerback. And then at safety, it seems that competition is probably going to be the most heated one throughout camp. As while Sidney Brown started out with the first team, reports suggested that he and Andrew Mukuba pretty much split the reps there throughout practice. So again, it seems like that's going to be a tight battle all camp long, and it's definitely going to be fun to see how that plays out, and really all the other battles going on as well. And on that topic, it's also going to be interesting to see where Cooper DeJean fits into the mix, specifically at the safety position, as if you'll remember, back during the spring, DeJean was getting practice reps not just at his normal slot corner spot, but also at both outside corner and at safety. And Vic Fangio had hinted that during the season, DeJean could end up playing one of those two positions in base packages. That way, he could be on the field for every single play. As he had said, quote, we'd like to keep him at nickel, and then in our base package, we'll find a spot for him, either at corner or safety. And he also noted that whatever position Coop does end up playing is going to depend heavily on where they need him the most. So now, fast forward to practice number one at training camp, and reports reveal that DeJean was in fact the Birds' starting safety next to Reed Blankenship in base sets. So that certainly suggests that, at least very early on, safety is likely the spot where the Eagles want to use him when he's not playing in the slot. Especially since back in the spring, Fangio literally said, quote, I think he would play very well at safety. I think it suits his skill set, things that he does well. I just think he would do very well in there. So again, it seems like there's a pretty high chance of DeJean playing safety in base sets this season. Now, could that change? 100% yes, it could, because again, this is still just day one or practice number one at training camp, and we don't know how the other guys are going to end up performing, but at least, again, very early on, that's how it looks. And I'm also just excited to see the leap that Coop makes this season in general.
You know, I think it's a part of my responsibility, part of our responsibility as wide receivers to get those guys ready, you know, and vice versa, you know. And, you know, I joke around with Coop all the time. I call him All-Pro Coop, APC, All-Pro Coop, you know, because this is going to be a year for him. I'm not trying to put pressure on him, but, you know, I tell him all the time, I'll make you All-Pro, you know, and that starts in camp, you know, each and every day. So
now moving on, just like it looks like Coop could play a lot of safety this year, it also looks very early on like second-year edge rusher Jalyx Hunt is about to have a full-blown breakout season, especially after what we just heard from the first practice of Eagles training camp. Now, of course, Hunt had a very promising rookie year where he went from presumed third-round project to a dangerous edge rusher for the Birds' Super Bowl winning defense, and since then, there has been a lot of hype surrounding Hunt and his potential now that he's set to step up into a much bigger starting role. And he only added to that hype back in the spring when not only did he wreak havoc during practice, but he also revealed that he's gotten much more comfortable going into his second season in the NFL, and he's really just honed in on improving his technique in every aspect of his game. And now, in the first practice of training camp, we may have gotten our most exciting development on Hunt yet, as not only did he get a sack on Jalen Hurts at one point in team drills, but superstar tackle Jordan Mailata also had some extremely high praise for Hunt in his post-practice press conference.
Jalyx? Oh, man, he's going to be special. He's going to be special, man. Just his burst, he has tendencies like Micah, just to be able to cut on a dime like that. Man, I'm so proud of that guy, the way he works. And how do I go from Josh Sweat to Jalyx, man? It's crazy. I was just like, man, Howie, give me a break for 1 year. Jesus. Jalyx is going to be a star, man. And I'm glad that I get to go up against him because I know that if he's giving me hell, he's going to give everyone else hell. So
I don't know about you guys, but those comments from Jordan Mailata just get me so fired up about Gelix Hunt and his potential and what he could possibly do this season. I mean, that was probably one of the strongest endorsements I've ever heard from one player to another player. Like, just think about what he just said. I mean, he said Jalyx is going to be special, he said he's going to be a star, and he even compared him to one of the NFL's best edge rushers in Micah Parsons. Like, that is just insane and unbelievably high praise coming from the All-Pro there, all while Hunt is set to enter just his second season in the league, and he is still very new to the edge rusher position. But if there's anybody who can recognize a more raw, talented, but under-the-radar player with star potential, it's probably Mailata, because that's exactly what he was when he was drafted, having never played football before and coming over from Australia. So, I don't know. Personally, those comments really move me and just get me so fired up to watch Jalyx Hunt this season. I've said it before, but I think he's the biggest breakout candidate the Eagles have right now, and I just cannot wait to watch him become a star right before our eyes. And something else I can't wait to watch is year 6 of Jalen Hurts, and he's already off to a pretty promising start in training camp, as in practice number 1, Hurts was 14 for 15 on his throws with no touchdowns but also no picks. And while it wasn't super flashy, reports said that Hurts was just playing good, smart football and taking care of the ball, and his best throw of the day was his 20-plus yard back shoulder throw to A.J. Brown down the sideline. As Kelee Ringo had really good coverage, but Hurts just made a perfect throw and got the completion. So again, overall, it was a good day from Jalen Hurts. But that completion to A.J. wasn't the best play of practice, as that would go to Tanner McKee's deep touchdown pass to Terrace Marshall, who would beat Ringo down the sideline. And talk about somebody who's been flying under the radar and deserves more credit. Like, Terrace Marshall is a perfect example of that, as not only did he waste no time making plays in training camp, but he also made a ton of plays back in the spring and has brought some extra added competition to that receiver room, which is something that A.J. Brown says is pushing them all.
He's coming along quite well, honestly. Even in the spring, he was making a lot of catches. I know you guys didn't see it, but he's gonna make the room very uncomfortable, you know, and that's a great thing, you know. And I'm excited to see the room continue to evolve, you know, not just him, but you know, everybody push each other. So I'm excited.
Man, just shout out to Terrace Marshall for what he's done this offseason ever since joining the Eagles. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he can actually make this roster or not when the time comes. And it'll also be interesting to see how practice goes for the Eagles today. So don't worry, I'm going to be covering all that in a video tomorrow, so if you don't want to miss that or any other Eagles coverage throughout all of training camp, then make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications. Again, you're not going to want to miss anything. And also, leave a like down below because it really does help me out a ton, guys. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes to kick off training camp. And also, leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. What was your biggest takeaway from the first practice of Eagles training camp? Again, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And also, if you do want to watch another Eagles video going over some other news and storylines headed into training camp, then you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.